people begin to lose their minds at day 7 with no sleep. And they begin to die. Their organs begin to shut down at day 9. But the CIA was authorized to keep people awake for 12 days. And that was another thing that caused prisoners to just die. They would have heart failure, you know?
How'd they keep them awake?
You chain them to that eye bolt in the ceiling again. You have these industrial strength lights on them 24 hours a day and like death metal 24 hours on volume 11. And they just can't sleep because if they collapse, they'll pull their arms out of their sockets. They're chained to that eye bolt.
Jeez.
It was bad. And then when people would die, they would just dig a hole next to the interrogation building, put them in the hole, cover it up, and then bring the next guy in.
No report, no nothing.
Nothing. There was one guy they reported on, and headquarters wrote back and said, just put him on ice until we can figure out what to do. And they literally just put him in a bathtub and filled it with ice, and then just decided a couple days later he started to turn. We should probably bury this guy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was ugly. And the Justice Department never said anything about that. They're like, oh, listen, you can do these techniques, and if you kill him, just bury him out back. Yeah, that wasn't the approved operation.
Was any of it effective? Like, was there any actionable information?
That's the worst part of this. No, none of it was effective. You know, I say this all the time, Joe. It's like a kick in my gut to have to compliment the FBI. But if there's one thing that the FBI is really good at, it's interrogations. They've been doing interrogations effectively since the Nuremberg trials in 45 and 46. These guys know what they're doing. And so with Abu Zubaydah as an example, we captured Abu Zubaydah, and normally overseas, the CIA has primacy. Domestically, the FBI has primacy. But 9/11 was still an open criminal investigation, and so we sent Abu Zubaydah out to the secret site, and the FBI took over. The CIA was furious about this, but there was an FBI agent by the name of Ali Soufan who did exactly as he was trained to do, and he began to engage Abu Zubaydah in a conversation. And Abu Zubaydah just gave him the silent treatment for weeks. This went on for weeks. But you go in, you offer him a cup of coffee, you offer him an orange. If he's cooperative, you'll let him write a letter to his mother, whatever. And finally he opened up, and he gave us actionable intelligence that saved American lives. And I'll give you 2 examples. Number one, we had no idea what the Al-Qaeda wiring diagram looked like. We knew it was bin Laden and Zawahiri, and then we just didn't know what the organization was like, how it was built. So he explained to us how each one of these cells all around the world was stovepiped, compartmentalized. So cell A had no idea what cell B was doing. And Ali said, as an example, if you want to do an operation in, let's say, Dusseldorf, how would you do that? And Abu Zubaydah said, well, there's this guy, Muhammad, and here's his phone number. Muhammad lives in Dusseldorf, and he has a cousin, Abdullah, and Abdullah has access to weapons. And here's Abdullah's email. And then Abdullah's got a friend, Rashid. They meet at the coffee shop, and Rashid has access to explosives. And then we're able to call the Germans and say, hey, listen, you have a serious problem in Dusseldorf, and here's what you need to do. And then they kick down the door and they grab these guys. That saved lives. The other thing that he told us, and he laughed actually, because Ali didn't know what the heck he was talking about. He was talking about Mukhtar, a guy using the nom de guerre Mukhtar. We knew from our own files that there was this guy out there who called himself Mukhtar, who was a very bad guy. In 1996, he had initiated something called the Bojinka operation. It was supposed to be carried out in the Philippines, and the idea was to hijack as many as 14 747s and then fly them into buildings all up and down the west coast of the United States. It just so happened that one day, Mukhtar, working on his plan, his diabolical terrorism plan, he went out to have lunch. And when he went out to have lunch, the cleaning lady came in to clean the apartment, and she sees all this stuff laid out, and she said, that looks like a terrorist attack being planned. She calls the cops. The cops come and say, ooh, this looks like a terrorist attack. We better call the Philippine Intelligence Service. They come and look at it, and somebody says, we should probably call the CIA on this. And so we confiscated everything, and Bojinka was disrupted.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
A cleaning lady.
You never know. You just never know.
It's just crazy that he would leave the plans just laying around.
Thinking nobody's going to come, nobody's going to see it. And then he ran off. So we knew there was this guy out there planning this big thing, and his name was Mukhtar. Abu Zubaydah laughed at us and said, you don't know who Mukhtar is? And Ali said, no. And Abu Zubaydah said, his name is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. That's the first time we ever heard that name. We didn't have any documents in any files that were about any guy named Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. But that was the very first time we were able to piece it all together. And it was thanks to Abu Zubaydah, in turn, thanks to Ali Soufan's treating Abu Zubaydah with respect. But on August the 1st, 2002, George Tenet went to the White House, and he asked the president, for reasons that have never been made clear, he asked the president to turn over primacy to the CIA.